All right, so we're Lee Sin versus Jarvan. So, first thing that I always do as a jungler is look at all of my lanes and think about what the best lane is to gank. Which lanes have the best setup. So, in this game, I'd avoid bot lane like the plague because you have an Ezreal Tristana. So the only time you're going to come bottom is if that lane is already winning and you're diving. So your route in this game should 100% be red into top scuttle. Look for a gank. If you can't find a gank, swing back down. You should do blue Gromp. Then you should look for a gank top/mid. And that's how like your first 3.5 minutes should be in this game. Why the fuck do people take Ezreal support? Because they hate themselves. But yeah, the most important thing in this game is to not let this Jarvan vertical jungle on your strongest lane in the early stages that also has gank setup. $9.7 gold 2 on NA. Okay. So yeah, if you don't have any intention of pressuring bottom, then you should just do red into top scuttle. That way you prevent the Jarvan from vertical jungling on like your best lane in the early stages. And then you should just play between your two solo laners this entire game and look for ganks between the two of them. So this is already like a pretty good start to like your jungle route, which is you didn't fuck up the 2-minute mark. How many games do you need and the win rate to know you're horrible at a specific champion? Probably like 30 to 40. Alright, so now we're doing the blue. We're just weaving in autos. Good, I don't have to worry about like mechanics of jungle for you. And then you'll definitely want to do Gromp here before you do anything at this point in time. So another important part of this game is knowing what your opponent will do the entire time. Where do you ward at level 1? That's actually a really important question for me. Did you ward the scuttle? Or did you ward the... Where did you ward? Yo, bro, where do you ward? By Raptors? Oh, so that's his ward. Oh, that's for a level 2. Okay. Okay. Sorry, I need to really figure out where you were warding, because I want to talk about warding if that was, like, not an issue. Oh my god, this jungler's red is so bad. Okay, so we do the red, we do the blue. So you have wards in this location right now. And honestly, this Jarvan should have done this, this, and maybe this. Like, he should be on the bottom side right now. So, with that information, you should have also done the Gromp. Like, you shouldn't have smited here, and you should have done the Gromp. That way you hit level 3, and you could potentially be here and do stuff. So, like, here's the problem I have with you showing on this location, is you basically just EXP starved yourself in that regard, and you should have done the Gromp. That way you would hit 3. Now, if you do that and you hit 3, and then you walk mid after that gank happens, then what happens is you can contest these chickens, like, instantly, and you could potentially look for a kill on him. So after you do this scuttle, you could potentially look for a gank bottom, because they're like kind of posturing in a really aggressive way. But if they don't, then what you should do is you should walk into the enemy jungle and get vision down. Like, this gank doesn't work. Oh god, maybe it does work. Alright, so we hit the Q. Nice, you E. So here are mechanics, right? So if you didn't know, you can E and flash at the same time. So what you should have done is instead of shooting this Q, you should have waited for the jump, then Q'd right here, and then auto-attacked him until he flashed, so that you don't have to use the Q and he can flash. So what you should have done after this His flash, you should have flashed and E'd at the same time and then auto-attacked him twice and then W'd out. You'd have actually had the kill right there, 100%. So you didn't know this mechanic? It's casting a spell and then flashing at the same time cuts the animations for it. So when you do this gank, right, you hit the Q, this is good. He flashes, right? You should E and then flash and auto-attack him twice. And then what you do is you're just going to jump out. Because your AD carry will be walking forward at the same time. So you can just jump out and guarantee the kill. Because if you did that, you would have been able to kill the Nami right there. Or killed the AD carry, depending on whoever you're auto-attacking the entire time. Because you're proccing red buff at the same time. Like, that gank should have actually worked in that regard. So then next, what you should have done is you have bot pressure, right? What you should do is you should walk into the jungle. And you should start taking camps from your opponents. This gank will never work. You see this player? You saw how the Jarvan was top, right? So the Jarvan is in the top area. And their mid laner is standing on the top side. That means 100% you're getting counter-ganked if you go for that gank.
Money.
So what you should do
mountains and mountains
is instead of wasting all this time here on a wave that's pushing back to the enemy jungler, you should be taking camps right now. Because you have established pressure on the lane. Also, this is really bad because you know what also is happening right now? The enemy bot lane that you took all the sums from is sitting in lane under the turret. And you have 100% health. So this is all wasted time. I don't even care if you kill this guy. This is actually a waste. Straight up. Like, it's straight up a waste. Because what should have happened in this game is you're level 3 at 4.5 minutes. Instead, you should be 4.5 to almost 5. Like, you should be at least level 4 right now. Like, close to 4.5. So what you should have done is after that gank had worked, right? You take all the summoners, and what you should do is you should 100%, especially because you have information on the Jarvan being top, you should 100% be in the bot side the entire time. It doesn't even matter that you killed this Kassadin. This is actually a mistake. And it's only reinforced because you got a kill. What you should have done, yeah, is go into the jungle, take camps. And while that's happening, if this bottom lane shows and stays, then perfect. You've taken all those fucking sums from them. You still have flash. You can just literally walk under the turret and kill both of these players. Worst case scenario, what you do is the wave crashes. Like the enemy bot lane wave crashes. And you're walking behind them and they just give ground. And they lose either a plate. They lose a bunch of turret HP. They're losing EXP. Plus you're taking camps from the bottom side. Because like Lee's not actually like that great at dealing with like AoE clearing. So, like, anytime you can avoid that and get, like, single-target camps, like Wolves, Romp, etc., that's valuable. So, now you're back in. I'm hoping that you just buy straight up the coal fields. Coal fields and, like, 2 pinks is probably what I'm looking at you wanting to get. Okay, so we go Blue Smite. This is terrible, by the way. This is a terrible buy. So you go Blue Smite. So here's why this buy is bad. Number 1, you have 1,100 gold. Which means that you can buy an insane amount of damage. Actually, I think you should have gone 2 longswords and boots. Should change what I said. You should go 2 longswords and boots. The CDR is really not that great. The reason for this is you want combat strength in dueling. Lee Sin in the early stages wants to find the enemy jungler and kill him. Or have a lot of damage so that your ganks just do an insane amount of damage. Because in the early stages, you scale really, really well off the AD that you get building towards Warrior. Also, Benji, thank you for the Twitch Prime. Really appreciate the support. And welcome. Back to Lohpally. So, don't do this. This Blue Smite, it's worthless. It doesn't give you enough damage in the lane. It means that your clear speed is going to be lower. And Lee Sin as a champion doesn't need Talisman to clear camps in the early stages because you have your shield to lifesteal up. So this is all a waste of your money. So what you should have done is buy 2 longswords and boots. And you always want as much combat strength as possible. That should be your primary goal on champions like Lee. It also means that by doing more damage, the barrier of entry for a gank is way lower. Because your skills just do more damage. Like imagine if you were behind them the entire time and just dove these players. Both those players would be dead right now. And your bot lane would be crushing. And then all of a sudden you would have made a weakness in the game a strength based on your early gank. Okay, so we're walking down right now. Straight through the lane. You should be pinging on your way, by the way. You need to be communicating with your teammates with pings. All right, so next what I want to see is you pink that brush. You should pink that brush right there. That way you know that there's no ward in that location. Also, you're not paying attention to scuttle timer right now. You should be standing there waiting for the scuttle to spawn. You shouldn't be walking mid at all. Like a lot of the biggest problems that you basically have right now is you prioritize ganking, but inefficient ganks to getting experience in the game. Like right now, Scuttle has spawned. It's been up for 5 to 10 seconds, and you're not getting it. Like the Jarvan could have been sitting here and taking this from you, even though you had the pressure on the map. All right, so now you walk into this. This should be a really easy counter gank. And just blue smite him. Okay. Number 1, you have a pink ward. Use it to dash in. So, here's like one of the biggest problems that I see from you instantly is that you're literally taking max range Qs instead of creating scenarios that make it way easier for you to win this fight. So what you should have done is instead of max range Qing this, you should have flashed W to your teammate. Then what you should have done, blue smite the Jarvan. Then you're literally on top of them, right? You can't miss the Q. You hit the Q, you Q again instantly, and you just try to kill that guy as fast as possible while he's all in your teammate. Like, you don't need to use your ward here. This is a waste. Just blue smite him. Yeah, or if you don't want to use flash, but you should use flash. If you don't use flash, just W this minion. Boom. You W this minion, perfect. You're standing right on top of him. You can E onto both of them. You can Q. You have blue smite. You're right on top of everybody, right? You're just creating. Basically, the biggest problem that I have is you're creating a lot of scenarios where you have to hit skill shots that you don't need to. It's kind of like if you're watching the Morgana lesson last game, it's just, okay, if someone is standing on top of you, you don't need to bind them. Just press your R, and that will be guaranteed to root them, and then you just bind off of that. It's super free. So you need to be creating a lot of scenarios where it's just way easier for you to hit skill shots. Like, you could have missed that and just missed 2 kills because of it. And also blue smite. So now we push it into the turret. Bad boy. Stay for the plate. The early 2 to 3 plates are so easy to break. You should 100% break this plate before you leave, because otherwise, if you're not in range for it, nobody gets the gold, and it's just wasted income. And it's 160 gold, which is literally half a kill. It's so much income actually that you get from something like that. See, look, you actually lost it. Actually, are you still in range for it? Holy shit. You should have still gotten the plate no matter what. I can't believe you're in range for it that far away. That's insane. I feel like you didn't do that on purpose. Yeah, 300 IQ. I can't believe he's in range for that, by the way. That's insane. So, like, here's, like, an immediate problem that I have in this game, right? You're 3-0. If your jungler is 3-0, he should be literally as high as this guy's level, because he should be farming at the same time. So like that's like kind of the problems that I have with just like your early jungle routing in general. And you also don't clear your early camps. So because of that, all these camps are really low level. Look at how minuscule the experience is for you to clear this wolf camp, because you didn't cycle through all of your camps early. Which is actually a pretty important thing, because your camp needs to die. Your camp needs to die and respawn for it to give you good EXP. So if you don't cycle through your camps in the early stages, then you lose a lot of experience going back and doing them later on. And like the longer you take to do it, like the worse it is. And also because you opted into not Coalfields, you've created a scenario where you do these camps actually slower than dick. Like, even though you're super, like, technically super fed, like, you're actually doing these at a very low speed rate. Alright, so next you're gonna buy your warrior, right? Right? You're gonna buy your warrior. Oh, no. So warrior is literally the most stat efficient item in League of Legends. It's literally it's too broken of an item. I can't believe it's been that way for so long. It's literally, like, it actually is. It's really the most stat efficient item in the game. I think you get like 60 AD. It's fucking retarded. The item is not balanced. You should 100% have finished your warrior there. You should not have bought Moby Boots. I understand your thought process. You want to be able to move around the map and do shit more often and like continue to snowball your lead. Guarantee you that if you get a warrior, you'll clear camps faster and kill people better than if you go Moby Boots. So you should dash to a minion, right? You're going to dash to a minion, you're going to flash, you're going to blue smite him. Alright, that works too. Alright, perfect. So you should push this wave in, and then after that, you should get the plate. And then after you get that plate, then what you can do is the scuttle. See how the scuttle is spawning right now? It's got gray right now. You push the wave, you get the scuttle, and then boom, you get all that gold. Like, you should do the plate. No, do the plate. No, do the plate. Alright. So now you should just clear all of your camps. You should clear all your camps before you look for anything. And then what you can do is, after you clear all your camps up, you can pink ward the brush. You pink ward this line brush, and then you can look to fish for a gank for mid. And that should be like how your next next stage should go, because the scuttle is spawning at the same time. And before he's still in range for the plate. Nah, you have to actually hit the plate. Hit the turret to get the plate gold. Alright, so your bot lane's killed everybody. You should get the scuttle, and then you should do dragon now, because you've got the established pressure. And you should be pinging it too. That way your teammates know what you want to do. Because you can solo the dragon at any point in time. And you should put a pink ward down right here so that you have control of the mid lane brush. Spray some water? No, that's just mean. So basically the main reasons why I say what you should be doing is because it's tied around this information. When you do camps, you get experience. When you get experience, you're stronger. When you're stronger than someone, then you can invade and duel people. And when you're playing champions like Lee Sin, you want to be finding and fighting the enemy jungler as much as possible. And so like your routing should like reflect that in a lot of cases. You can pink. You can literally just pink. There you go. Okay. So what you should have done here, pink, Q, R, blue smite. Guy dies instantly. So now you have no spree. Alright, so we finished the warrior. I don't know what you're building next. I'm hoping you're building a black cleaver. Although what you have doesn't build into a black cleaver. Alright, so we dash to him. Alright, so let's talk about efficiency of damage. That's like the next part of this scenario. So you dash to your teammate, right? You hit the Q. What you should do is blue smite and E at the same time. And the reason for that is your Q does more damage. Also, you miss an auto. Your Q does more damage the lower they are, right? So you W to him and you Q. Why are you stepping back like this? You should just be auto-attacking him the entire time while he's hitting your AD carry. Because if you just missed 2 auto-attacks, basically, for that. He would die. Like, he actually dies instantly if you just 2 auto-attack. So then we're chasing this guy across the map. And this is also what I'm talking about. I know you didn't have W, but just like in general, you create these scenarios quite frequently where you're fishing for a Q, but like, if you miss the Q, you can't kill that player. You're right next to him. Just shoot the Q. Just shoot the Q. anytime you're right next to somebody, they're not going to dodge those. You should just shoot the Q instantly. This kind of actually ties back to the Morgana thing again. Don't give your opponents like opportunities and time to start like actively moving and dodging skill shots. That's very bad for you. Like you're lucky the Zed like basically cleaned up for you. Alright, so the air dragon's up, but so are your golems. What you should do your golems and then clear all the way up to top and then gank top. That should be your route right now. Since you have no wards here, there's no reason for you to be in this jungle right now. Because if you get caught at all, you're dead. And you know that. That's why you're like running for your life. Like this camp doesn't mean anything. You should be cycling your own camps. That way they have the respawn timers so that they give EXP. I don't even think you've done golems this game. So this golems is like literally going to give you no EXP. And I guarantee you, if you talk to any jungler, they'll tell you that like golems and raptors are the most important camps because they give the most experience by like a long shot. So making sure that you cycle through your camps and you can always be getting the EXP is very, very important. Yeah, I don't really understand what that person's typing in my chat. Like, you shouldn't be channeling back right now. You should be clearing all these camps right here and then channeling back. Like, you want your backs, unless, like, you have an item buy or an objective that's coming up, you really need to make sure that you're cycling your back timers with things that make sense in the game. So, okay, right here, the Jarvan's on the goal, the Jarvan's on the this. You should have just ran up here and cut this guy instead of doing what you did. So here's like the pieces of information. Okay, you see all three of these players right here. Your Irelia is pushing in this wave and it's gonna crash into the turret. That means that he has to come up here and catch this wave. What you should do instead of spam channeling recall is you should use your Moby Boots and run all the way up here and get into this tri-bush. That way, if the Kale does a greedy walk path, you can literally just kill him as he's getting to the turret. Worst case scenario, you run into both Kale and the Jarvan, but they're already reasonably chunked and your Irelia is pushing into the turret, and he has ultimate. So you can fight 2v2 really, really easily. And you have your flash to dodge skill shots. So you shouldn't hit this. This is actually a really big pet peeve that I have in general. If you hit this, people know where you are, and people know where you're going, because it shows on the screen. You shouldn't hit this at all, and what you should do is you should just run all the way top and just cut this Kale in between the turrets. And not let him get this EXP and gold. That way it'll also force the jungler to show. Plus you can actually utilize this as a bait. Because in a case where you walk up here and you don't touch this, there's a very good chance that this guy routes and takes his scuttle while you're killing this guy up top. Plus then on top of that, you'll be able to take the top turret for free. Like not being here for cutting that player basically means that you can't do anything in this scenario anymore because Jarvan's in the area. Also, a really big pet peeve I have right now is almost all of the ganks that you have are you responding to something, not you actively either sitting there waiting for something to happen or you actively doing the play itself. So, like, most of this game, I've just been watching you react to scenarios that happen in the game. And sometimes they've gone well, and sometimes you're not there in time, and you just don't do anything. And because of that, you lose, like, a lot of time. So, like, a great example is you trying to walk to that mid lane play right there instead of being in the top side, zoning that guy away and killing people. When are you supposed to use vision plans? When you intend on clearing wards or you need to know where someone's location is and you don't mind giving yourself away. Like right now, that guy, this guy is literally 50% health. What you should do is you should just not do this camp and walk up here. That way you can either zone the guy from the turret and get the turret, or the jungler tries to gank him because your Irelia is pushing up because he's winning, and then you counter gank it. Like, you shouldn't be channeling back right now. You should be here for this wave. 100%. And your second item should be Black Cleaver. Especially in a game where you don't have a lot of tanky champions and you need to be a frontliner. I don't know what this buy is, but Yeah, it's not good. You should be building Black Cleaver second. Almost every time on Lee Sin right now. It's such a cost-efficient item. Makes you really tanky. Covers most of your CDR problems, too. It's just, in general, like, really, really powerful. Like, this buy doesn't matter. This Rift Herald should be yours. So, in a scenario where instead of you channeling back... In a scenario where instead of you channeling back, you're on the map, and you go up here, and you dive this guy, and you take this turret, you never lose any of this. And you never lose any of your teammates. Just as, like, a heads up. Because, like, this fight doesn't break out, because Kale is just dead, and you're sitting with your teammates. This guy can't kill you, and he can't get away. There's no reason for you to be afraid of this brush at all, and there's no reason for you to flash. You're gonna kill this guy. You have Moby Boots. He can't outrun you. You don't need to use any of your summoners like that. And then, like, because you're building GA second, my question is just like this. Like, what was the point of buying these two longswords then? I don't understand. If your intention was to build a GA second, then these two longswords should just be a chain vest. That way you could also have space for pink wards. Because you don't have any space for pink wards, which is actually pretty important on Lee Sin because that's, like, tied directly to your mobility. So I don't really like that at all. Yo, what's up, Sandra? It also means that, like, your vision is limited in all regards. You have your Irelia walking over right now, so you should actually be able to contest this quite easily. I just jump on that guy. Fortunately, your teammate is coming in. Oh, your ward just came up. Like, I just don't like how you're creating so many scenarios that are really, really easy for you to just get, like, get Qs off way safer. That's my biggest problem right now. So you've got this escorted in. You don't need to walk here. Remember that there's a scuttle on the bottom side that you can get for experience after this wave is going in. You see a bunch of people showing. It's also why I like saying waves before wards, because you're pushing in, you force people to show. Like, minions are basically the equivalency of vision. So what you should do is be shifting down on the bottom side and getting the scuttle. Then you should shift down and finish up both of those last minions. You want to be cycling your camps as much as possible while still being active on the map. That way you're always strong in every one of your games. Plus, on top of that, like, you have income on your champion. Like, levels are very, very important. They make you way tankier. Like, that's where you get a majority of your HP and armor. They're just per level. And by also leaving your camps up for so long, you don't let them respawn. And so they just don't give you nearly as much EXP, which is also an issue. Like, at this point in time, too, one of the best ways to break open a game, whenever you have strong split pushers, is to literally, I call it shadowing, but it's just like trailing. It's a scenario where if your top laner is winning, see how, like, he's always winning and pushing? You should just be in the top side right now, like, basically standing behind him, letting him push out all the way. That way you could force fights around him. So if you are behind him, he can play aggressively. He's stronger, so you'll win all the skirmishes. And also, on top of all of that, if you kill someone under the turret, then he can just continue to split push, and that creates an insane amount of pressure on the map and makes the enemy players have to play, like, to do something. Because, like, right now, the biggest issue that I have is in scenarios like this, you're not playing around any power point, like, any power level. Like, you're literally in mid, But who is helping you in mid? There's a fucking Ezreal support. No one can help you in this location, and because of that, they can just jump on you. This is why like they just go on you right now, right? Because you don't have any sources to push them back or make them afraid of a fight. Your Triss is bottom side right now, trying to get red. Your Irelia just pushed out top, so like he hasn't rotated yet. You're just not gonna get any reinforcement power, and on top of that, you basically just like bait in fights. So instead, what you should be doing in scenarios like this is instead of playing around mid like you are, what you should be doing is just constantly trailing your top laner who's really, really strong right now and standing in brushes. And then also while he's pushing forward, what you can do is you can just take all these camps. When he has the push pressure, you just ping on, you can ping or do whatever you want and you just take all these camps. Plus on top of that, a great thing about something like Fed Eye Relay is it's so easy to dive. You can literally just have him push all the way to the turret, you swing all the way around, boom, you kick him off. You kick the kill off the turret, you kill that guy. There's 3 people in mid right now, so then they have to make the conscious choice between whether or not they're going to try to hard engage on 2 champions that can jump away, and that just creates a lot of extra pressure on the map. Plus, after you do take this, then you can either take the turret, or you can just leave and then continue to reinforce here. And then all of a sudden, it's a 4v5 game where Irelia is creating all that pressure by herself, and the enemy players have to make a lot of bad choices in that regard. There's nothing I dread more than having my solo laner lose and then not knowing where the jungler is, and then he just comes behind and kills my solo laner, because then the fucking map is 4v5 for another minute, and it just becomes impossible to make the correct decisions on allocated resources. So we end up finishing the GA. I don't like it as a second item. I think you should have gotten Black Cleaver first. Especially because actually the enemy team has like a reasonable balance of magic and physical damage. Having extra, like, health is way more valuable than building a GA in most cases. So, no. So dragon is spawned. We're doing red. I mean, you should just W over and then take it. What leads into this? Okay, so you do Wraiths. Once again, right? Like, if you're just trailing the Irelia the entire time, then what ends up happening here is you can skirmish and kill somebody, and then you're actually from the bottom side can swing over and contest this dragon. But the dragon's gone at this point in time. Irelia is getting killed because you're not there yet. 2 more people end up dying. And for the most part, I just pop over the wall and start doing your golems because there's nothing else for you to do. You can't defend this turret at all. There's no reason for you to even try to play through bottom right now. Cycling through some camps. Most of the mid game is now just like you fishing for control over Baron, and then you just fishing for like kicks. That's basically what you need to be doing in a lot of these fights. You need to be the one controlling the start of the fight. Alright, so we kick. We're cutting backwards now. You have every spell up though. Just jump over the wall. Alright, so let's go over this fight, right? So it starts on your Tristana, right? He's jumping away. You're walking in. You started auto-attacking somebody. This guy is way too low right now. And you burn your kick. You should just blue smite and auto-attack this guy, and you should be walking up. You shouldn't be walking backwards. The reason for that is you gotta pay attention to your minimap on who's reinforcing and what location they're coming from. These 2 players right here, they're useless. They're not going to help you at all. These 2 players up here, they're useful. They can actually help you in this fight. Plus, you should be able to just kill this guy right now. So you kicked him, right? You don't W back. This is 100% wrong. What you do is you start auto-attacking, you use E and blue smite, and you kill this Nami right here. You kill this Nami instantly. This Nami is dead. Boom. Now your Ezreal blinks in. Instead of on the Nami, he's on this guy. Then what happens is you have flash. So if you need to and you don't have the range for it, then you just flash and Q onto the AD carry and just beat him down too. Your Irelia is reinforcing from the top, so as you push forward, you'll be able to kill both of these players and continue this way. Especially if Cassidy fucks up and tries to follow up over here. This will be a fight where the Jarvan and Cassidy are chasing 2 kills that they can't get, / maybe they get, but they use a lot of resources for. But you're going to clear up all these 3 players right here. And then you can, because you're reinforced with these players, you can now push down and force this fight. You're just not paying attention to who's coming from what angle and like who's going to reinforce you. And because of that, you go the wrong way. Like, look, these players, they literally killed both of those guys by themselves without your help at all. And your Triss and Zed didn't even die in that fight. Like, they got out just fine. This is also why I hate Guardian Angel, because like all your Guardian Angel did was have you respawn and die again. Hate the item. Alright, so we'll look at like 1 or 2 more fights for like mechanics, and then we'll just kind of tackle all the early game routing, because that's like the most important thing of jungle lane right now for the most part. Okay, so breakdowns for you, Combinate, is just like early game. Make sure that your routes reflect like what pressure points you want to do. So it was really good that you did red to scuttle, like in the early stages to cover your top laner, but make sure that afterwards that you're actively looking to actually utilize that pressure. And then whenever you do get successful ganks off on people, but you don't kill them, if they're substantially chunked, utilize that pressure to then either set up a dive or at least invade, get camps, and then push them away from the waves. Also, stay for plates. You miss like a lot of gold in terms of just platings. And then also don't run around aimlessly. Clear your camps. It's so important that you hit your level 6 as fast as possible, and you need to be cycling your camps. So that should be reflective in the game in that itself. For mid game, if the game gets confusing, the best thing you can do is if you have a guy in a split push scenario and it's not Baron has not spawned or it's not a threat to be taken instantly, if you show, you should just trail that guy the entire time and kill whoever shows up on that scenario, especially if they're stronger. That way you can blow up in the game. Do you have any questions or anything like that, Caminate? Otherwise, I'm just gonna conclude this lesson for the most part. Oh yeah, and then on like team fights, pay attention to like where people are reinforcing so that you can push up with them, so that you can like have fights with them. No, that's pretty good. Okay, cool.